Transforming an unutilized part of your house into a very nice and functional mining garage are loads of fun and hard work. What is up, miners, and welcome back to the 3Fox Company YouTube channel. I was in a pickle. Over the last few months I added new hardware, my mining office got a little bit small, and very soon I had an issue dealing with heat that my rigs were giving off, especially during the summer months. So I desperately needed a new place where I could expand my mining operations, but before diving headfirst into it I had to set myself some requirements. 1. Location. It had to be close to my house. Usually it becomes a security risk if you have your rigs in another location. 2. Size. The floor area needed to be large enough that it allows for future expansion as well. And 3. Cooling. This is probably the biggest challenge that any miner faces, period. Need I say more? I quickly realized that I had the perfect spot available. You see, I've got two garages on my property. The original one, which I obviously used to park my vehicles, and the second one that I built about 2 or 3 years ago to use as a workshop for my hobbies. The garage I'm using is made from brick and mortar construction. It is large enough for 2 vehicles. It has a floor area of around 450 square feet. It has electricity installed, and it's already connected to my solar system. Then for the golden item, it has a very efficient cooling system already installed. It's a modern evaporative cooler and has an air exchange capability of up to 2.1 cubic meters per second. This is a huge amount of air movement, and we will discuss this in detail in a future video. But the process wasn't as quick and easy as it might seem. Over the years I accumulated a lot of stuff, and the more stuff you accumulate, the less likely things will be organized. So I first needed to decide what I'm keeping and what I will dispose of. After a few hours, I could finally start the build. The 2 work tables would also be perfect candidates to become a nice mining rack where I could put my mining rigs next to each other in one spot. But before I modified the tables, I decided to first remove the tool boards from the walls and move them into my other garage. After removing them, I took the opportunity to properly install them so that I do not have tools lying around in my main garage. Now, with the walls free of any objects, I could seal all the holes, then get some fresh paint onto the feature wall of the mining garage. I also spent some time thinking about the layout that I want to have so that the cooling system would be effective in removing the heat that is generated by the rigs, and also have a friendly space where I can create some YouTube content that will be visually pleasing. Now it was time to get the mining rack built. I decided to combine the 2 work tables into a single 3-tier rack. This could be accomplished by cutting off the base of the one table and fit the remaining structure on top of the unmodified table, as they both have the exact same dimensions. I then marked all the legs to the same dimensions so that I could cut them to the same lengths. The next step was to actually cut them and then fit it on top of the second table. I also removed the wooden top from the second table so that I could do some welding without burning the wood. So after a few trial fits, the 2 tables fitted nicely together, and I could now permanently weld the legs into place. After the mining rack was completed, I could start adding some fresh paint to our mining wall. I decided to use grey so that it can create some contrast between the remaining white walls and the white ceilings. This was the process that took the longest, as I had to apply 3 coats of paint to the wall to completely cover the old paint, and I had to wait for the paint to dry completely between each coat. After the wall paint was done, I also painted the mining rack frame and the shelves and moved it into its final position. Then the next item on the list was to install a power meter on my socket outlets. I really wanted to be able to monitor how much power I'm using, including the cooling system. The installation was very simple. I purchased a Drock power meter from Amazon, which is a popular choice amongst miners. I then used a 4x4 wall mounted enclosure with a blank cover plate and made a cutout to fit the display into. For the power meter itself, you only have to connect the 2 supply wires that will power the unit. This will be used for the voltage and frequency indications. It also has a current transformer that measures the actual current draw. The power and the power cumulative usage are then calculated by using these parameters and displayed accordingly on the tiny screen. My garage did not have any internet installed, Also, because the garage is not attached to the house, I could not run an Ethernet cable through a roof from my main router. I wanted to have the cable concealed and decided to hide it inside of a PVC trunking on the walls and then install a conduit underneath the paving between the house and the garage. I had to remove some of the paving to get the conduit buried. This was quite a messy job as cutting concrete pavers creates a lot of dust. After the conduit and the cable was installed, I reinstalled the paving and painted the PVC trunking to match the color of the house. After the cable installation was completed, I tested it with my tiny 1660 Ti rig to make sure that it works. Once the paint work, mining rack and shelves were completed, I started to move my rigs into the garage from the office. I also added a few visual features such as an old lamp and some background lighting to spice things up a little bit. So, what is next? The build is not done yet. I still need to build a workbench which will also act as a desk so I can move my Thermaltake Core P3 test bench into the garage. But for now, the layout is functional, the cooling is exceptional and it's already starting to look great. Here is a few clips of the current layout. Please let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed my mining garage build and if I should post future updates when I add more items. Also share with me where you keep your mining rigs and if you plan a similar journey in the future. I would also like to invite you to join our Discord server, Crypto Kingdom. Amongst the members you will find a wealth of knowledge and mining experience. We chat about everything that's mining related, from rig builds, NFTs, GPUs and much more. The link is in the description below. Now if you want to see more mining builds like this, as well as mining rig builds, then you need to check out my mining rig build playlist here. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video.